Dear readers of the European Sting, there's one thing that drew my attention last week. The decision of the Spring EU Summit not to take any specific actions for the resolution of the big social problems that the financial crisis has caused to the old continent. Apparently, Van Rompuy's groundbreaking statement that we cannot overcome a crisis with more crisis, Martin Schulz's severe criticism on the European lust for austerity, and François Hollande's alarm siren that the French deficit will not do the favor to only rent to stay below 3% this year, are not enough to turn the wheel of the European Titanic and avoid the rapidly closing iceberg. Unfortunately, the voice of the President of the European Council, the President of the European Parliament and the President of the second biggest economy in Europe have no power on the ears of the austerity lovers, Olli Rehn and Angela Merkel. Neither the voices of thousands of people in Brussels and around Europe last week protesting about unemployment and rising poverty in Europe. What else are these two austerity lovebirds waiting for? To feel the water coming inside the boat? Do you need also the new Pope, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, to come to Berlaymont and preach against the European inferno that we are heading to? The truth is that the violin band is still playing while the bow of the ship is going up, and everybody is running like crazy to save his soul, but still Angela is snoring inside her suite. Oh, my God. When will this lethal German gluttony come to an end? Is it going to be in the summer summit where Angela will show up with her fancy green linen jacket, combined with her elegant green ballerina flats? My lord. We have had enough with those people that think that they will manage this time to conquer Europe and do it without bearing the cost of getting tanks on the roads. Germany and the peer need to listen carefully to the alarm and wake up from their wet dream as soon as possible. Otherwise, comedians and neo-fascists will keep increasing their political power in the South, reminding to Angela the obvious, that we live in democracy and they cannot put peoples in misery to make money out of human pain, a new ingredient in this deadly recipe of austerity, that was to everyone's astonishment added last week, is the EU raid on the savings of Cypriots, as part of the Cyprus bailout. One more stray sheep was captured by the bad Troikan wolf, extending the list with the victims of the European vultures. Together with Portugal, Greece and Ireland, another country was thrown to Cetus, the historic island of Cyprus. But this was pretty much expected given the big liquidity problems of the banks in Cyprus. What was not expected in the summit was that the Troika to force Cyprus to steal the savings of its people. You heard well, ladies and gentlemen. This did not happen in Bangladesh but in the European Union. A country is blackmailed to tax immediately and unprecedentedly all the saving accounts of its citizens, otherwise it gets kicked out of the Union. For the love of God, people. What are you doing? Last week you just placed the deathstone on the grave of Eurozone. It seems the Troika can get it all. What about our underwear? Do you want them to? Perhaps you can combine them to make a gigantic rope to hang the European South from and save money from future bailouts. My God. How many EU summits do you think you will last before you crack and sell those fatal policies? The pressure is intense and will get bigger and bigger. Everyone now has understood your plan. It is bound to fail miserably in times of democracy. Why don't you face it and come to terms with your failure before it is too late? If you don't include specific growth plans in this bloody bailout recipe of yours, you will never be able to predict the range of the explosion that you will trigger in the European society. Game over. Maybe it is time for some people to go home now and grab a pretzel. Until next week, join the hive.